Welcome to Video 8, the final installment in what I've been calling the Mythbuster series. I'd like to begin by expressing my appreciation to you for the time, the energy, and the commitment to watching the first 7 videos that brought you to here, because I know you're busy, it's a lot of time. Clearly you were finding some interest, you were finding something that was supportive to you, and that's why you continued, and I still would like to express my appreciation to you for doing that. I'm going to tie everything together in this final video, and I'm going to repeat some of the things that I said at the end of video 7 because they're important, and it's important to hammer those points home in terms of clarifying and tying everything up with a nice ribbon, if you will, and concluding everything in this series. In each of the videos that you've seen, and I chose to talk about some of the most popular typical prescriptions for here's the magic technique to use to change your life, to fix your life, to improve your life. And I chose to use those as gateways for sharing some alternative information, some yeah buts, some no, that's not really the way it works, and to invite you to consider alternative ways of looking at things and alternative paths to creating the kind of life that you really want. Now, I could have continued that by going into all kinds of other things, including a discussion of certain religious topics, or what might be called Eastern religion, or other esoteric or New Age or mainstream, or metaphysical kinds of concepts and ideas. And it would have come down to the same basic thing. Here's what they're saying. From my experience, it didn't work that way at all or reliably. There's a problem in there somewhere. There's something that we're not being told. There's a yeah, but. There's a no. There's a something missing because it just doesn't really work that way in a practical way. And so what's that thing that's missing? And the thing that's missing is, and then in we come with a discussion of what's really going on, which is the fact that everything that's happening to us is happening for a reason, is being created from a true creative process, the real us from behind the scenes. Just like an actor in a movie, if you see an actor doing something, saying something, doing something, being in a particular environment, there's a special effect that makes the character appear to fly or have a laser beam or whatever it is. Everything that you see on the screen is a result of a creative process that put it there, of which the actor plays his or her role. But it's really the creative process, the screenplay, the writer, the script, the special effects engineers, the makeup people, the director, the people that hold the microphones, all of it. There's a creative process that makes everything possible that you see on the screen, and the actor has a role to play. But in the greater scheme of things, there's so much more else that's going on that's determining what happens. And from what I've seen, and I can go into so much more detail on this if you choose to accept my invitation and find out more about what I call the busting loose or the phase 2 work, about that whole dynamic, about the movie metaphor and actors and the creative process that makes the movies or TV shows or whatever possible, and how accurate that is to what's really going on with us. It's always that same answer. And then when we can look at that truth with a capital T as I perceive it, and we can then say, all right, well, if that's what's really going on, and I'm the actor, and there's a true creative process that's me, it's not somebody or something outside of me, it's me, I want to know more about that, number one. And then I want to know about how can I expand into a more and more of a direct experience of that true creative process, and experience more and more of the wisdom, the abundance, what I call the true joy, and the power of who I really am while staying here and playing. Not expanding to some point called enlightenment or whatever else it is, and then leaving, although that's fine. But expanding, being able to stay here and play in this extraordinary amusement park, this extraordinary human game experience in a radically different way with no limits, no restrictions of any kind, which is what I call the phase 2 game, as opposed to the phase 1 game, which is where most of us are playing most of the typical self-help systems, personal growth systems, spiritual growth systems, even the most mainstream and esoteric that offer prescriptions, if you will, for do this and you can change your life kind of stuff, are all designed to support the playing of the phase 1 game. The phase 2 game is when you expand into playing things in a radically different way, which is the discovery that I made and what finally enabled me to have a radically different and permanently changed experience in this human game kind of an experience. And so that's what it really comes down to. And the really key point, and this is very difficult to get intellectually, and it was very difficult for me to get intellectually, because prior to moving into phase 2, taking this journey and playing this phase 2 game for more than 6.5 years at the time of this recording, I was very much of an in my head, living by intellect, living by logic, needing to understand, needing to figure out all this kind of stuff, not getting where I really wanted to get by doing that, but living that way. So it was very hard for me to let go of a lot of that kind of stuff. It was very hard for me to let go of goals and outcomes and specific desires and intentions and these kinds of things, and bring my focus back to, as I mentioned in the last video, removing the straitjacket that had been limiting me no matter what I did, and knock out the cloud cover that was blocking the sun of who I really am from me experiencing it directly, no matter what I was trying to do in the storyline, what I was trying to change, fix, or improve in my life with the specific details with money, relationships, body, whatever it is, career. Bringing my focus away from all of that and just focusing into the process of expansion, the process of removing the straitjacket, the process of knocking out the cloud cover. And once the sun begins to shine in, once you've got the use of your arms and your hands again, metaphorically, with the straitjacket gone, all those details will take care of themselves. But letting go of them, using what's going on in them as raw material to remove the straitjacket, to knock out the cloud cover, because that's how this game works. But making that the only goal, the only objective, the only desired outcome, the only thing you want to change, fix, or improve, so to speak, is to get this straitjacket off and knock out the cloud cover. And I discovered a very unusual way to do that. And I call it the busting loose work, the phase 2 work, are the two labels for it. And it's composed of a philosophy component, a science component that validates the philosophy for people who, if you're like me, you need a little bit more meat on the bones than just the philosophical piece. Then there's practical tools that actually take off the straitjacket, knock out the cloud cover. And then what I call navigation support, which is guidance in how to navigate in this very unusual alien world that you'll find yourself in if you choose to take this particular journey of expansion and knocking off the straitjacket, knocking out the cloud cover, and bringing your focus away from wanting to change all these details. It's a very unusual, very difficult and challenging way to live and to be in the beginning, and so there's navigation support that's part of that. And so if anything that I've said in any of these videos, anything that I've said in this video, the concluding one, resonates with you and you have a desire, yes, I get this thing about the straitjacket and I want out of mine. I get this thing about the cloud cover that's been blocking me from the sun, and that even if I'm successful in changing details in my life and the story, ultimately I'm still limited and restricted and I still don't have what I want, and there's this endless parade of things that I want to change, fix, and improve, even if I change this one or fix this problem or improve this thing. There's an endless conveyor belt of other things that I'm judging and I'm not happy with that I want to change, fix, and improve. And if we ever get to a point where I'm just satisfied right here, it's temporary. And most of us, including me, never get to that point in phase 1 of the human game where we're really satisfied and at peace and happy, even for a moment, or even, for a long period of time, weeks, days, weeks, months, years, whatever. You may have had that experience, but my experience is, as long as the cloud cover's in place, as long as the straitjacket's on, you either won't experience that ever, or if you experience it, it won't last, or if you experience it and it appears to last, it's just a shadow. It's just a pale imitation of the happiness, the joy, the success, the power, the wisdom, and abundance that you can really experience when the cloud cover is knocked out, when the straitjacket's taken off.